Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of The Scoreboard. I'm Conrad Iacobellis.
And I'm Ryan Kostecka. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get right into it.
This is our first Tuesday episode. You can expect to see The Scoreboard every Tuesday and every Friday, 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. right here on Park City TV. Brand new episodes on Tuesdays and Fridays. Double the coverage for all your hometown sports wants. Let's jump right into today's show. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking Park City Boys Lacrosse. We're then going to be interviewing Winter Vinecki. She is an aerial skier who is in Kazakhstan for the World Championship right now. And then Ryan sat down with Lexie Hudgens from Park City Baseball to talk about her career at Park City and her endeavors after Park City High School. But first and foremost, Ryan, why don't we jump right into lacrosse?
I mean, lacrosse is back. You know, we talked about it a little bit last week. The spring season is upon us. These athletes are finally going to get a full season in of competition. And for Park City Lacrosse, I mean, it's some of the best lacrosse you're going to see in the nation. I mean, actually in the state. Lacrosse right now is ranked number 2 in the state behind Corner Canyon. But they're going to start their season today, actually, against Lone Peak, number 4 in the state. It's going to be a really great battle. I can't wait to hear about it. You know, we talked with Coach Michael Persky, and he's excited. You know, it's really his first year fully coaching, and he's got the boys ready to go, and I think they're fired up for it.
You know, I think he said he's the winningest coach in Park City High School history, which is not a lie. There's a little caveat to that, though. But as you said, Park City High School is a lacrosse school, which is weird for me because I grew up in California where we didn't have lacrosse. So lacrosse was a whole new sport. Of course, I knew of it growing up, but we never played it. So to come to Park City where they have a very dominant school, both boys and girls, we're going to focus on the boys today, though, where, as you said, they are ranked 2 statewide. Number 1's Corner Canyon, number 3 Brighton, number 4 Lone Peak, who they open up with today, and then number 5 Mountain Ridge. And Park City will face all those teams throughout the season. This is kind of a big task for Park City Boys Lacrosse, though, because technically they are the defending champions.
Yes, they are. I mean, they are the defending champions. They won in 2019. 2019. Now they have this season. It's the first time that they're actually going to compete as it's an affiliation. So it's a state program now. It's a state affiliation sport. Look, Park City is more than ready for this opportunity. I know last year they were stacked with multiple seniors on the team. Obviously, they graduated. They didn't quite get to finish out the season. This year, though, they're ready to go. They're eager to, defend their state title. It's something they've been talking about. It's something they're ready for. And I just can't wait to watch them play. I know there's a couple of star players who are ready to kind of take the reins and take Park City Lacrosse further. But it all starts tonight, and then it's the competition, like you said, is just going to ramp up from there.
Well, and as you said, we did catch up with Coach Persky talking about the season, so why don't we see that interview right now where Ryan caught up with Coach Persky for Park City Boys Lacrosse.
2 years ago seems like a lifetime in terms of the team, the kids, the competition. I think there's a lot of people looking at us as being underdogs going into some of our games. Hope we can show them differently.
Well, talking about underdogs, I mean, last year you had 3 star seniors in McKnight Pedersen, Dylan Bauer, Brady Bauman. They're obviously all gone right now. You have a whole new group that is actually very experienced. That underdog role, is that something you guys are embracing, you guys are ready for?
I think so. I mean, as you mentioned, replacing those 3 is impossible. Those kids were 3 fantastic athletes, 3 great leaders in the locker room and on the field. This year we have a mature group of people. We have 12 seniors. Who will all contribute, but it's going to be very, very balanced in terms of both ends of the field, offensively and defensively.
So, I mean, as we heard right there, they are replacing 3 players, 3 very dominant players. I remember when we were covering the Park City run to championship, we always heard those 3 names over and over and over again. This year is going to be very interesting. As we said last year, they had their season cut short. I mean, they really didn't even have a season, maybe a practice or 2 and maybe a single game because of COVID. So this year, to me, is really going to rely on the seniors. This is going to rely on the captains. This is going to rely on Tyler Vendetti, Connor Munson, and Keller Hopkins. Those are their 3 captains. Those are the 3 players that are going to have to step up, not only in terms of their play, but also in helping usher in Park City Lacrosse play and style to the younger classmen who are also stepping up to this team.
I think you said it perfectly. I mean, those three are going to be instrumental this season. You know, McKnight Pedersen, Dylan Bauer, Brady Bauman, all three kids who, you know, are now playing in college, except for McKnight. He took a gap year, but he was going to Princeton. Dylan Bauer, I believe he's at Johns Hopkins, and Brady Bauman is now at Marist. All top college lacrosse programs across the country. Those three are gone now. So who is going to take over this leadership role? Persky's coming in. He's implementing a new style, a new culture. And now these younger players who are now older, they're really going to have to take on this leadership role and show these young guys of what it means to be a minors lacrosse player. Like you said, it's Park City's a lacrosse school. It's one of the top programs in the state of Utah. And it's something that's very special, and it's something that really needs to happen. If the leadership can really be there, I really believe Park City has the talent to go far and possibly defend that state title they keep talking about.
I mean, they don't have a lack of players. There was a ton of players that were at that practice. We're actually going to hear from Tyler Vendetti right now. He's one of the captains, and just hear what he has to say about this season and about trying to defend the championship belt at Park City.
We always have that. We have a major legacy to uphold, like two-time state champions. Didn't get a chance last year, so hopefully this year we can win one. But I mean, I think we take every game one at a time. But there is that, like, it's state championship or bust. But yeah, I think we've got a chance this year. We've got a good team, solid team.
So are there any extra nerves that come with that state championship and living up to that legacy? I mean, you won as a freshman, you won as a sophomore. Junior year obviously got canceled. It's your senior year. Is it any extra pressure going out with that third state title for you, saying I never lost a state title?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think there are always nerves. I think having been there so much, we kind of know what to expect. And I think we've got a lot of younger kids out here right now. Kids, obviously last year we didn't get a chance to compete. So even less kids who kind of know that feeling, but I think we've got solid senior leadership, and we'll be ready to go out there.
So, we heard Tyler just said he was a champion his first 2 years. Last year was a little bit of a break. And Park City is not going to have an easy schedule. They face, again, Lone Peak tonight. They are opening against the number 4 ranked team. On March 23rd, they are facing Corner Canyon, who is the number 1 ranked team statewide. On April 27th, they are facing number 3 Brighton. And then on May 8th, they are facing number 5 Mountain Ridge. So they face the top 4 teams. They, of course, Park City is ranked 2 right now. Ryan, any final thoughts on Park City Lacrosse?
If fans are allowed and you have nothing better to do on March 23rd, go out and watch that Park City and Corner Canyon game. That is going to be one of the best lacrosse games, not only, within the state of Utah, but throughout the country. These are 2 programs that will be sending kids to Division I programs. I believe it's going to be, it's high-end talent. It's going to be beautiful, I guess you say, play calling and matchmaking. It's going to be phenomenal. So if you have the time, definitely go watch that game. But other than that, though, I'm just excited to see the boys play and just see what they can do. It
should be a good season for Park City Lacrosse. That's going to do it for our preview of Park City Lacrosse. Of course, that was the boys team, and of course, we will cover the girls team later on in future Scoreboard episodes. We're going to take a break here on the Scoreboard, but when we come back, you're going to hear an interview with Vinecki.
Hi, this is Ryan Kostecka, and welcome back to the Scoreboard. Joining me now is Vinecki, U.S. Aerials team member. Winter, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so let's get right into it. World Championships, Kazakhstan, how are you feeling? Are you ready? Are you nervous? Talk about the nerves.
I'm excited. I mean, there's always going to be some nerves involved because it's World Championships, but I've had a good season so far, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that.
So, I mean, obviously it's in Kazakhstan. Have you been there before? Do you have any experience being there? Do you know what the course is like? Anything like that?
I have been there before. This will actually be my second time in Kazakhstan. We have not been to this site, though, so that will be new kind of for everybody. I don't think anyone out of all the countries have jumped at this exact site before, so it's kind of an even playing field in that sense.
So let's talk a little bit about the season that you've had. It has been a good season. What do you think of it? Obviously, it's been good. Do you think it's done a good job of preparing you for the World Championships upcoming?
Absolutely. Obviously, this year has been a bit different with COVID and everything. We've had, obviously, to be in a bubble a lot of the times. The travel's been quite different, although we were very fortunate to have almost our entire season go. We were in Finland back in December, and then we were just over in Russia in Moscow and Yaroslavl, as well as Belarus for a couple competitions before heading back to the U.S. here for our Deer Valley World Cup. So we've had quite a few competitions, thankfully, this season, even with everything going on. And we were just excited to be able to compete despite everything going on and have that experience leading up to World Championships.
So I really want to touch on it. You talked about Deer Valley. Obviously, you know, here in Park City, it's a huge event. It's absolutely massive. This year, there were no fans. What was that like competing without fans there? I mean, fans to hype you up. Your family, your friends weren't available to be there. What was that like?
It was very different for sure. Normally, that's a competition where all your friends and family come out to. And this year, my mom and brothers couldn't even come watch, let alone other people in Park City. And so it kind of made it feel almost a little more like training, although we're a little bit used to not having huge crowds because when we were overseas in some of these other places, there's not massive crowd like there is here at Deer Valley. This always has the biggest crowd out of any event. So it definitely didn't have quite the Deer Valley vibe, but we still had the support of our coaching staff and all the other athletes up there kind of hyping each other up. So we at least had that similar experience, even though we did miss all the cheering crowd at the night event.
So in your other competitions, you know, throughout the world, have you guys had fans there? And do you know if fans will be in Kazakhstan?
I'm not sure. All the different countries have had different rules regarding COVID and everything. Some of the places there's been smaller crowds than usual, but there have been a little bit of crowds, so I'm not sure what to expect in Kazakhstan.
So let's talk about you now. I mean, what are your thoughts? Are there nerves going into World Championships compared to a different competition, you know, just a regular one? And then on top of that, I know you might got to be thinking about it a little bit. The 2022 Olympics in Beijing are right around the corner. Does that even play into your mind at all?
I think the biggest thing with all these competitions is you just want to do well at all of them. So whether it's World Championships or the first World Cup of the year, I think at least for me personally, the nerves are about similar because it's a competition at the end of the day and you want to do well. So, I mean, looking forward to this coming week for World Championships, but also the World Cup final. It's not too different from the other competitions, but they are our last two comps of the year, and so obviously you want to do well.
So I got to ask, have you thought about 2022 yet and what that might bring? Is that even on your radar, or are you just solely focused on what's immediately ahead of you?
Absolutely. So this year is kind of starting our Olympic qualification process. And so all of these competitions are part of the Olympic criteria, basically. And so in order to get to that Olympic spot, we need to do well this year as well as next year. And so all of these competitions are kind of leading up to the Olympics. So it's definitely been in a lot of our heads.
So I kind of want to touch base on it a little bit. You circle back, you talked about it. Obviously the bubbles and kind of having to be so restricted and not necessarily with your teammates so much. Talk about as an athlete, you know, especially a world-class athlete, what kind of mental and emotional toll is that taking on you?
It's a bit challenging. Luckily in our sport, it's already a small sport and we're pretty close with our teammates. So we've had to kind of just even keep that more tight-knit group with training all summer long. You know, it was pretty much just us 16 athletes or so that are on the aerial team, and we were training together pretty much if we saw anybody, it was only them. And so it was different in that way and a bit challenging because we didn't have the freedom to just go out and do anything. We had to be very strict and diligent about it. And then going on tour, normally this is the time where we are able to see all the other athletes from the other countries and hang out with, you know, our Swiss friends and our Australian friends, but we weren't able to do that this year, which is a big bummer because the tour normally is where you get to see all these competitors from around the world, and we kind of just had to stay in our own bubble and didn't get to hang out with them. So that was a bit of a bummer this year and definitely different from years past.
So kind of touching on that a little bit, do you think as a team though, has it brought you closer together knowing that's kind of, you know, your life support? That's the, you know, your team is who you rely on, especially, and that's kind of all you have. Has it really brought you closer together, you think?
I think so. Our team has definitely got a great team atmosphere, especially this year. And we're all, I would say, actual friends, and being kind of stuck in this bubble together kind of just naturally brings you a little bit closer. But it's even in years past, you know, you're pretty close to your teammates because we spend more time with each other than we do pretty much anyone else, even our families. And so naturally you get close over the years, but I think having to be extra close and just pretty much in contact only with your teammates throughout the entire year definitely brought us closer together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Winter, for joining us. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best luck at the World Championships and can't wait to talk to you afterwards.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back shortly.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard, everybody. I'm Conrad Iacobellis.
And I'm Ryan Kostecka. We appreciate you joining us. And today, we're talking with Lexie Hudgens. She's a phenomenal baseball player. Let's put that right off the bat. She's actually the only girl on Park City's baseball team. She's a 4-year player, but interestingly enough, she's going to college for softball.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. You know, they're starting second baseman, I believe. I mean, she is one of the top players, and to really say that is a huge accomplishment to say you're a top player on any sports team right now. And one thing I took away from her was her humbleness. You know, one thing she did say was, she's going to softball because she's like, hey, look, I don't think I can compete with college guys. She's like, I compete with high school guys, college guys, that's a different skill level. I'll be able to compete with college girls though easily. And she just picked up softball, I believe, this past summer. Yeah, she
picked it up this summer, and it's just talking to Coach Fiesler, it's an amazing testament to her athleticism and, as you mentioned, her humbleness to understand that, she might not be able to compete collegiately with boys, but she can definitely compete in high school with boys. She's been doing it for 4 years. I know Kellen Danker is one of the captain. Very complimentary of her, really believes in her talent. And like you said, she is the starting second baseman for Park City Baseball. We've watched her a little bit. She's got phenomenal hands. She understands the defense. And I really believe Lexie has a bright future, whether, it's this season or moving forward, when she goes to college for softball.
So everyone, that's going to do it for this episode of The Scoreboard. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you catch us also on Friday at 6 p.m. and hit up our social media on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, where we bring you web-exclusive content only. Here's your interview with Lexie Hudgens.
Hi, this is Ryan Kostecka with Park City Television, and today with me is Lexie Hudgens of Park City Baseball. Lexie, thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Your spring season is here. You guys are starting the game on Tuesday at Orem. What are your thoughts?
I'm beyond excited, and we kind of spoke about it, but I have the pregame jitters. Every season, I just can't wait, and I know tonight I'm not gonna be able to sleep, but we've been practicing for a while, and we're all just so ready. We're itching to play.
Is there a different, feeling this year, obviously coming off the pandemic, not playing last year? Do you remember last year's opening day, and then how does that compare to what you're feeling right now?
Yeah, so last year, it was kind of all a blur. The only thing I remember is the day that they were we have to shut you down, you can't play anymore. And ever since then, it's been kind of I'm so ready to play that I just can't even wait for anything. So this year's definitely going to be the best year, just because we haven't been able to do anything and play together. So I'm super excited for that.
Does it make it more special knowing it's your senior season? This is the last chance you get to play with all your friends right behind us, and just one last chance to really make Park City Baseball really special.
For sure. And I think even though the pandemic happened and everything, I think this made our senior year even better, because now it's this is our last hurrah, and it's the real deal. So I'm super excited.
So you talk about those nerves though, but being a senior, you're used to this. You're used to opening day baseball. It's your 4th year with the program. What's your message for the younger players on the team who maybe aren't used to this?
I would just say that turn those nerves into excitement, because there's really nothing to be nervous about. I don't know why we all get those nerves. I think it's just pure excitement, but really it's an awesome opportunity to be able to play baseball here. So I think just turn it into excitement.
So, I got to ask now, obviously it's your senior season. You're graduating in June. What are your plans afterwards? Are there plans afterwards?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to Virginia Beach to play softball, which I'm really excited for. And it's definitely going to be a journey, because I've only been playing softball for a couple months, but it's pretty similar to baseball, so.
So, okay, I got to ask then, obviously, you played baseball all 4 years. Why did you choose baseball over softball? That's a good question.
Yeah, so I have a couple main reasons. One of them is the competitive level. I feel I'm a very competitive person, and baseball fits that and satisfies that want for me. And so I've always been baseball, I want to see how fat, if I can beat them, if I can be better than them. So I've always done that. And then the other reason is just I've been friends with these guys for my whole life, and so it's basically just a bunch of brothers playing with them, so I love that.
So, I mean, I got to ask, you said you only playing softball for a couple months. How did the recruitment come along? How did you decide that's what I'm going to do, and how come you chose all the way to go to Virginia Beach?
So I started playing this summer, and it was just like, it was like kind of like relief to be able to like compete. I mean, I can compete here, but kind of like fit in better, because like I'm not like the smallest one anymore. Like I can kind of like hit too, and so that was kind of nice. And then I was like this is something I want to do. Like I knew for a while that I didn't really want to play baseball in college, just because that like they're so much taller and stronger, and I just could not compete with that. So I knew for sure softball was the way to go, and so I reached out to a coach because I knew I wanted to go somewhere different. I have family in North Carolina.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and so I wanted to go somewhere over there and just like try out something different. So I reached out to that coach, and then it worked from there.
Okay, so obviously, you talk about you're going to play softball in college, but you've played baseball here at Park City for 4 years. What made you fall in love with baseball, and how did that become, something that you really wanted to pursue?
So it's actually kind of an interesting story. I grew up doing gymnastics, and I was like, loved gymnastics, just flipped around all the time. And then it wasn't really until I was like, I think 11, my brother was like, I think you have something, like I think you can play baseball. Well, like I always played like with him in the driveway and stuff, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, like I just want to do gymnastics. And he was like, come on, just keep practicing. And then it kind of, something like switched for me, and I was like, maybe he's right, like maybe I could make this into something. And then it like the drive just kept getting more and more, which was really cool, and that just sparked my interest for baseball.
So what level did you first compete at baseball? I mean, obviously you played with your brother. Did he grow up playing baseball also, and that kind of how did that what happened?
Yeah, so he was really competitive, loved it from like the youngest of age, and so he kind of taught me everything. And then I think I started playing competitive baseball at 11 years old. So that was like the first time I've ever been in a game. But before that, he would just pepper balls at me in the driveway and say like, come on, you got to catch it, like all that. Just like the typical stuff to just get me ready. But it was awesome. I'm so grateful to have him and everything he did for me.
Did it, when you first started playing at 11, competitively in games, did that love just hit you right away? Did you know this is what I want to do and what I want to do in high school? Did you ever like consider playing softball here in high school?
So kind of a little bit of both. I never really considered playing softball. But I remember the first game, I struck out 4 times. I did not even touch the ball, and I was like, I am so ready to be done with this. Like, this is not for me. But then, like, something made me stick with it, and it was like, I kind of like struggling and, like, not being able to, like, do well every time and, like, succeed all the time. And so that is what kept me going, which is weird.
Well, that's awesome. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. We wish you the best of luck this year. We'll be following along, and, good luck. This is Ryan Kostecka with Park City Television. Stay tuned for Friday for our next session of the Scoreboard. You can find us at parkcity.tv. Thank you.